feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving.
Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today we're taking a trip down memory lane because we're here with the new Lexus LX, one of the original large luxury SUVs.
I wonder where you were going with that, actually, to be honest. Anyway, yes, he's right. It's the 4th generation Lexus LX flagship. Come, let's take a look at this one. So the Lexus LX actually hit the streets, or was first produced in 1996. And when I say flagship, I mean, you can see it's a flagship because of, I mean, look at this as far as a tall flagpole goes. It is enormous. And, you know, quite rightly so. It's the most luxurious they've got. It's the tallest they've got, the biggest they've got, and arguably probably the most expensive as well. But looking around this one, this is all new as far as it goes from the ground up. The chassis underneath is around 20% stiffer, and also this one now comes with an aluminium roof, so that's a new thing for this, actually for Lexus completely. Looking around the bonnet here, it's got plenty of curves and plenty of sculptureness to this bonnet, and actually it looks like dual power zones down here. It's quite twin power domey sort of thing. Anyway, the grille, you're either going to love this or you're going to hate it, but most car companies are now going for bigger grilles, and you know, look at the size. There is something quite dramatic about this, what they're calling a ferocious mesh grille, and it really is quite big and ferocious. Looking around here, the lights are tri-LED projector headlights, and also there's this lovely, what do they call this, the hook sort of LED DRLs around here, so really giving you that extra look from there. The rest of it, as I say, more plastic fascias around here, and it really does sit quite high off the ground. Around the side, now as I said, this LX was already big, but now it's 30 millimeters taller, 20 millimeters longer, and 10 millimeters wider, so it really is taking up a big car park space from there. We've got the F Sport version, and for New Zealand we're only bringing in the F Sport or the limited options. I think we've got the limited one next week. There are some differences as far as this F Sport model is only 5 seats, whereas the limited is 7 seats, and also there's things like soft door closing on this one, whereas the limited isn't, and they're both priced at the same price, around about 175 grand, plus there's some you know, some taxes for not being that fuel efficient or emissions free. But anyway, we'll get to that again in a minute. The feet here are 22 inches, and you know, there's quite a lot of rubber going on, and they're quite wide as well, and it's going to need that to make sure that this keeps this big vehicle on the road. And it does actually ride really well. Again, we'll get to that soon. And there's some chromeness around the door handles, but look at it. It's a big beast, and yeah, it is well worth it. The rear end is also quite sculpted. Does come with a roof spoiler. Look at this light bar that goes all the way across. The LED lights, tail lights or indicator lights just flash up under here, and you've got your Lexus in letters, making sure you're going along there. Down the bottom here, you see they've got rid of any sort of exhaust tips, but there is actually one exhaust under here, and that's all it takes. That exhaust then goes straight under the bonnet, so let's go there and have a look what's there. For this latest LX 500D, what Lexus have done, have got away from the V8, and what they've done is they've put a 3.3 litre V6 twin turbo diesel in here. What it produces is 227 kilowatts of power and 700 newton meters of torque. That's basically plus 14% as far as kilowatts goes, and I think it's around 8% as far as torque. It's more efficient too, 10.2 litres per 100 kilometres, and slightly more is better with the emissions at 235 grams per kilometre. So it is a little bit more efficient as far as that goes. It also now tows 3.5 tonnes, so really plenty of grunt coming on from there if you want to tow your toys. Speaking of things that have lots of toys, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on with that.
Well, my toys might not actually have that many features on them, but I can't say the same about this Lexus LX, because just look at this interior. There's so many buttons and switches and all that sort of gadgets and gizmos in the middle, but I'll get to that in a minute. First, the build quality. Well, it's solid as you'd expect from a Lexus, and some very high quality materials in here, because of course this is the flagship model. So you start off at the top of the dashboard and you get some of those soft plastics, you get some black leather there with contrast stitching, all part of Lexus's Takumi design architecture on the inside. So they've used plenty of Japanese soul words, if you like, to really bring that design style out. The seats, well, they are highlighted in red and black leather and nicely supportive on the sides. The red leather is actually a color called flare red and is unique to this F Sport model. It does look really nice and feels incredibly soft to touch as well. And you can find it on the door cards and of course on this, the center console here. Now there's something very interesting about this, because in typical Lexus fashion, it's double hinge. So you can do this and this. Now that may be a cool gimmick, but there's another secret ingredient underneath here, and that's the cool box. Yes, it does have a button underneath there that activates a chilled air from the air conditioning, which keeps your drinks cool, or I'm not sure what else, your ice creams perhaps in the summer, or your phone or whatever tablet you stick in there, if you do want to do that. Speaking of technology, it's got plenty of that on board. It's got those two screens there and the third one in front of the driver, but I'll get to that in just a minute. Before that, the practicality. It is a large luxury SUV, so as you can imagine, there's some good sized door bins, space for a phone in there, a wireless charger over here, a couple of cup holders, and decent sized cubbies here and there as well. So they have thought about a family's needs, if you like, in terms of storage. With that part done, let's take a quick look at the technology. Well, this infotainment screen up here is new, and it does look like it's a bit sort of out of the design of the dashboard, but it fits in well when you're sitting in the driver's seat. In terms of controls, it's got obviously your maps, your audio, mobile phone controls, apps, and car selection things. So there's plenty of playing around that you can do with this screen. But actually what I'm more interested in is the screen below. So this screen below controls both the air conditioning and the off-road modes. So starting with the air conditioning, all of the shortcut buttons are underneath here, including this one which says Climate Concierge. And actually when you press that and set the temperature, what it does, it automatically adjusts the air conditioning, the heated and ventilated seats, and the heated steering wheel to match the temperature of all of those things with the temperature of your body or your requested temperature. So it's a really smart piece of technology there. Trust Lexus to come up with something like that. On the other hand, in terms of off-road modes, as you can see up here, it's got both a high and low range option, which is activated through this dial over here. It's got different driving modes, which you can select through this dial over here. And then there's also the height adjustment, which you can see there. And if you press buttons on the center console, you can actually raise the car or lower it if you like. It's also got several other gauges on here, including a G-force meter over there. And then on this side, it's got a sort of percentage breakup in terms of how much brake and accelerator you're using. So there is plenty going on over here in the middle. If you follow me downwards into the center console, you have some more shortcut buttons over here for the real off-roady stuff, because this is still a proper off-road vehicle. Remember that it is based on a Land Cruiser, which has built its reputation on being the toughest off-road vehicle, and this Lexus is very much the same. So you've got the drive mode button there, which also can be used by this dial here. You've got the crawl function here, which is like cruise control when you're off-road. And then on the other side, you've got this MTS button here. And when you press that, it goes into its extreme off-road mode, raises the car, turns it into low range, all that sort of stuff. So it's for the real hardcore stuff. You'll also see that when you push it, it actually changes the dials up here. So you have your gearbox there, and then on the left there you actually have your inclination, so both forward and backwards and sideways. So it really takes the car into that maximum off-road setting, and you can see there it's sort of mapping the terrain around and doing its own sort of electronic adjustments based on that. Speaking of adjustments, let's take a quick look at the gauge cluster. The digital instrument cluster in front of you, well, that's sort of a mix of old world and new world, if you like. So you've got 4 analog gauges on the side for your fuel and battery voltage, temperatures, and pressures. What's interesting is in the middle you have a fully customizable digital instrument cluster. So right now we're in the sporty mode, so it's got a little bit of red and all sort of stuff going on. But as you change the modes, you'll notice that it changes color and layout and stuff like that. So especially in Sport Plus, the colors are the most pronounced. You get that red background, and all the rev counter is even more red. It shows you plenty of information on there, so the ride height of the car, the off-road setting, the temperatures, the odometer, all that stuff, and you can customize it even more using the buttons on the steering wheel. So if I press that, I can flick through all of the different safety settings on there. Lots of shortcuts and short forms used there, so plenty going on. And if I keep flicking through, I can go through the different modes, media inputs, safety settings, and all that stuff. So there's really a lot to explore with that instrument cluster. Well, normally at this point we'd go for a drive, but this is the 5-seater F Sport version, so there's something to be said about that middle row of seats, or rather the middle bench. So let's take a quick look at that. Now in the back here, space, let's be honest, is never going to be an issue in a car of this size, and as you can see, that's certainly not a problem. I'm just under 6 feet and I've got a heap of knee room, even though the seat is as far back as it can go. Heap of foot room. Ignore this towing kit over here, it's very heavy and we can't get it out of the way. But underneath that, the central tunnel isn't actually that large, so you can get 3 adults across the back of this car quite easily. Another thing that's really interesting for the rear seat passengers is that you can access the glove box here with a button on the back, so that's pretty smart too, and gives you access to that chili bin in the middle there. You've got rear air conditioning, not just from there but from the sides as well. You've got speakers up here, so there's a lot going on for the back seat passengers. And then if you want to cut the sun out, well, you've got these sunshades that you can pull up and mount over there, and there's just so much of space and so much of comfort in here for the back seat passengers. There's also a central armrest here covered in some nice soft leather, and when you push that button you get some cup holders. So there's a lot of practicality as well as luxury in the back of this Lexus LX. But we're not backseat passengers over here. We like to go and drive things, so I think we should do that.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna
So
go,
the Lexus LX 500D F Sport, this shares the top spot with the Limited down here in New Zealand, but boy, it's a big vehicle. I've spent a fair amount of time shopping, because that's what you do when you're a family person, and this really does fill up all of the shopping space. It really is. It's a big beast, but it's also very, very luxurious, and that really does tick all those boxes.
I was actually telling Dave earlier, so I grew up in Africa, and back in those days, we had proper SUVs, stuff like the Land Cruiser, for example, which was designed to take on Africa, and the Lexus obviously is the luxury evolution of that car, and it still very much feels like it. It feels like a proper SUV. None of that, raised hatchback stuff going on here. This was designed to go off-road, designed to ride high, and designed to be, being able to lord over everything, and it still very much does so.
Actually, it's funny you should say raise, because this has got 4 different raising levels, so you can squat down, I'd say low, but it's really not low, or super lord over somebody. It really is quite high, and it'll also get over all the rocks and stuff that you're going to take this through. But then there's also the luxurious side of it, and it's the leather that Matthew talked about, the refinement of it. I mean, it is a luxurious vehicle, and half of me sort of doesn't want to take it anywhere off-road, and quite frankly, probably most owners will not.
As I pointed out earlier, it has so much of off-road technology and some very sophisticated off-road technology But in a car like this, that's as useful as a chocolate teapot.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
Because a luxury SUV like this is very unlikely to go near the rocky and muddy stuff and all that, because you're just going to get the chrome wheels dirty.
Yeah, but it might be owned by like rich sort of country farm owners or estate owners, so away you go from there. Let me bring up one pet hate. Let me pick up one pet peeve of this vehicle straight away, and that's the on-off button. I picked up the vehicle, went straight onto the State Highway 1. It was sort of cold, dark, and raining, and a little bit nasty. And I wanted to fiddle with the stereo, and I pushed the on-off button. I'm pleased to say it didn't come to a massive grinding halt on the motorway. It sends up an alarm bell going, what the hell are you doing? But really, why is it there? It should be moved somewhere less tuned in the radio-ish. But that's basically it. That's the big thing for me.
Tell you honestly that it's not just Dave being, the age he is. It's a mistake that anyone will make, because when I hopped in there as well, you'd think instantly that that's, something to do with the audio system or the radio or whatever. You wouldn't think it's the start-stop button that's up there right underneath the power button.
But the rest of the tech is actually, once you get to know it, is in quite a nice and convenient place. You can adjust virtually everything, and there are things like that temperature setting that's awesome. It's great. There's plenty of cameras as well. Being a big beast that it is, it does have plenty of sort of cameras to make sure you can navigate around where you want. When you're on the road, you've got a camera in the rear view mirror, so it gives you an uninhibited view of everything at the back. If you've got the kids or anything in there, they'll be able to straight through. And also, the moment you sort of pull up at any traffic lights or anything like that, it does give you a transparent view of the vehicle, and also the underside of the vehicle, and also you can just go wherever you like. It's really good.
I'll tell you what's my pet peeve about this car is the fact that the 360-degree camera, once you press the button to turn it on, well, it shows up on the infotainment screen, and it keeps rotating constantly, and there's no way you can just put it on pause. You can't look around and stuff like that, and it gives me a headache. But I'll tell you what doesn't give me a headache.
See, you give me a headache, actually, so there you go. This is what it's like.
What gives me actually, on the contrary, a bit of peace of mind is the fact that even though this car has so much technology in it, it's a Lexus, and they've been doing these LXs for a few decades now, and there's still so many of the original and the second generation models around. So it shows that they have a kind of longevity that we don't really see with these kind of luxury SUVs. So buying one of these, I'd feel quite reassured of its long-term sort of lasting ability.
Yeah, view-wise, let's get those sort of things out of the way. Massive mirrors. The said about the rear view camera in the rear view mirror. The windscreen's big and bold. There's plenty of light coming in with this, even with this rather small actually sunroof. But just visibility all round's great, and also comfort-wise, these seats so comfortable and so supportive, even on the side bolsters as well. So really good.
A car that rides this high has got to have soft suspension, and it literally just eats up everything in the road. You can't really hear any sort of road or tire noise in the interior here. It's very quiet, very comfortable. It does ride a little bit wallowy, so we kind of swing from side to side, but if you sort of put it in Sport S Plus and put the suspension all the way down and stuff like that, it will probably fix that to a certain extent.
To a degree, yeah. It's also very grunty. I mean, it does pick up nicely when it wants to go, and you can hear that reassuring V sound. Cylinders in the back, or under the bonnet rather than in the back, does actually pick up nicely, and to be more powerful than the V8, it's got to be a good thing. So there you have it, the new Lexus LX 500D F Sport, or you can have the Limited as well. Big SUV that's capable off-road, although we haven't tested that out, but on-road, just this big cruiser that just, I don't know, makes you feel Lord of the Manor.
It's got a few neat party tricks to it as well, like the glove box, the climate concierge, and a thumping good audio system. But
yep, good Levinson audio system. Yep.
But don't be worried with the amount of technology in here. It'll last forever and work all the time, to be honest, because it is a Lexus.
Yeah, and they're so sought after. It's brilliant. The resale value of these is great. So even though you are investing quite a fair amount of money up front, they're selling so well. Speaking of selling so well, make sure you sign into us, click that sort of subscribe button, leave a comment, tell us what you think, and join us on the next one. You never know what it may be.